Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising. Love and immunity, beloveds. As my intent is only for life and its abundance, I am not on here to treat, cure, or diagnose, as I cannot do that. Only you can, because you are the internal being. This message and its entirety can be watched on my Facebook Live under my name. This message is reaching out today for all those who are interested, but I am trying to reach out to the professional backgrounds, education, wellness, teachers, anyone in a professional background that is looking to promote their industry to a higher calling, to a higher understanding. This morning, as I meditated, and I just got to understand the dynamics of existence in myself. See, we must remember that the mind is evolution. And when the mind is ready to evolve itself, it is going to choose the cell. It is going to choose the memory. It is going to choose the evolution of itself that is ready, that is capable, that is able to evolve it. And this means that everyone, because we forget that our evolution, which is our creation, is one in itself. It's just like the breath. We all draw from the same immunity every single day, beloveds. Every single day we are drawn from the same immunity, which means that these are little codes. This is what the genetic code is. It's a code. And this code is like, it's going out, processing itself into all of nature, and then it's coming back into the internal nature, and it's processing itself. This is micro and macro. All day long, these codes are coming in and out of us, and they're talking to our blood cells. And if you understand that your blood cells are formations, they're like a computer chip. So what you think the computer does, you do. You and I, we do it maybe infinite times more faster, more intelligent than even the World Wide Web can do it, because the World Wide Web can only draw from the highest memory. The World Wide Web gets its understanding from just the highest knowledge. But you are the highest knowledge. And as a human nature, as a humanity, we haven't gotten past living in the mortal kingdom, beloveds. You have a whole education system, a whole governmental system, a whole healthcare system teaching existence in the mortal kingdom. But we were born the eternal kingdom. So the mind has not yet evolved. So it has to wait until someone is ready, until that gene has matured itself. And then that gene will take humanity, or the gene existence, to the next level of its understanding. And as this happens, as a humanity, thank you so much, Spirit, for confirming that. As this happens, beloveds, the collective body, which is our immunity, it rises. This person becomes a blessing, not just to themselves. This person becomes a blessing to the health and the immunity of the evolution of the cell's journey, of the gene's journey. So this is how we rise back up. This is how we go from the mortal into the immortal, into the eternal kingdom again. We got to rise back up. It's like in Moses' story. Moses was walking his people out of the valley of the shadow of death. Jesus was rising his people up out of the valley of the shadow of death. All of these scriptures was about the evolution of, it was from walking out of see how Jesus represented. He represented man, and he showed us how to come back up into the eternal kingdom, into the Holy Spirit. These is what all the people in the scriptures, these were just genes, people like you and myself who awakened. Instead of stealing, killing, and destroying their own knowledge, they brought it back into their innate kingdom, to their innermost kingdom, and they used it to evolve the gene instead of the world. What does a man profit if he gains the whole world, but he loses his soul? You out there evolving a poltergeist when you can be evolving the evolution of all of humanity. That one gene, which is just like the breath, it's a code. And once that code has become the foundation, the higher evolution, it becomes it for all of that gene, whoever lives in that gene. And I know every last one of us is made under the same image and the same likeliness of that gene. So we all benefit from it. There's not one person who does not benefit from it if they do not steal, kill, and destroy it. You benefit from it if you accept it. If you accept it. Now you can accept to continue living as a human when you are the existence of the human. You can accept that. I can't force anyone to understand the truth. I can't say, oh, I'm going to put a gun to your head, or, oh, you're going to die. You have to understand, who am I? You have to understand your truth. And I say a year and a half ago, God led me to write a whole bunch of workbooks, which I was supposed to be introducing into the education system. I wrote one for Fresno Unified. These are all workbooks that God led me to write. I did these. I created them my own self. And this one is the one that I'm going to address today. This is about what is the DNA. So in this case, what we need to do, and I wrote this book, which means understanding. It says, understanding the matrix within eternal earth. This is you and I. See this? These are cells. This is who you are. You are trillions and trillions of makeups of spirits. See, that's who you are. And this right here, see that? That's your gene. That's who you are. And this is everything that's happening in you right now. This is everything that's happening inside of your body. And I'm helping you understand this as the human. I'm helping you in this book understand how everything is taking place inside of you. And these I wrote all these programs. These are all programs that help you understand on a higher level than how we have been taught in the mortal kingdom. These are taking you up into the immortal kingdom. Once you process life inside of the immortal kingdom, beloveds, then this is when your synapse, this is when your intelligence will start to connect the dots. Once your synapse connect the dots, it's automatically going to start to walk with you. This is when it says, I will now direct your ways. Until you get the connection, which I did right here. This is the connection. This is the book where I try to help you understand how to connect your synapse, connect your innermost kingdom, walk back into the immortal kingdom. Once you walk into that kingdom, then things start to happen for you automatically. But I also wanted to address this because this is African American Month. And to all those who are not at my level yet, no disrespect, because you will be there, believe me. This evolution that's taking place in me and other people as well, we're raising the intelligence inside of the ether right now. And everybody who is open to this evolution, who is open to receive this evolution and not reject it. Remember in Hosea 4:6, Hosea 4:6 is literally trying to tell us about this, beloveds. My people perish because they rejected their knowledge. Because they rejected their knowledge, I will reject them. You have to remember, all of life is taking place in you. So this is your soul saying this. The soul was saying, my people. Who is my people? Remember, your gene is your soul. In your mother's womb, I knew you very well. Fearfully and wonderfully, I made you. So this is the soul speaking in the Bible. It's the higher self, all walking you, the body, in through the whole entirety of this evolution inside of this body. That's what the Bible is about. It's not about man. It's not about the name. It's not about the words. It's about the evolution that happened inside of that gene during this walk from the eternal kingdom down to the mortal kingdom. And because it took that journey, it also tells us how to get back into the beginning. It's like he's saying, the first will be last and the last will be first. But this is Black History Month. And I did this one for Black History Month last year. And I tried to introduce it to some people, but at that time, a lot of people got threatened by me trying to evolve. This wasn't just for myself. We're dealing with spiritual forces, as stated in Ephesians 6:12. A lot of us don't realize that we are dealing with darkness, that we have let darkness enter into us. Jealousy, hate, envy, malice. See, once those spirits get inside of us, they take over our heavenly realm, which is our soul, that gene. And once they are operating as your gene, they are now your mind. They are now talking for you. You hear the ego mind inside of us that tells us all the time, they're going to hate you or they're judging you. That is what the spiritual force of evil is. It gets inside of you and it controls. You're transformed in your renewed mind into conformity. Once that mind is conformed, it is no longer operating as the heavenly realm. So this is something that we need to understand. When I say all of life is taking place in your internal earth. See this? This is it. This is earth right here. See all these little trillions and trillions and trillions of existences. You see this gene right here? Do you see all these? This is how we're connecting everything inside of us. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful existence in which every human is the head of, but they just refuse because they want to honor the world's knowledge, doctrine. And there's nothing wrong with doctrine if you choose it. But there is something wrong with doctrine if you choose it to be your intelligence and you are already intelligence. There is something wrong because it's just like Ephesians 6:12. You're allowing spiritual forces to come in and override your transformed in your renewed mind. And this one I wrote for, it says, helping African Americans discover the internal mind, body, soul connection of wellness. And I wrote this and it's saying, wellness is biological. It is not something you learn, but something you become. I wrote this about a year ago, last Black History Month, and I was trying to address it, but a lot of people got offended by me and got threatened by me that I was coming in and I was trying to take over whatever. I can't take over anything. I'm not a thief that comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I am a gene that comes that my people may have life in all of its abundance. I am a memory cell, a predestined gene that came so that my people will not perish and they can walk out of the valley of the shadow of death, pass over, rise, and go back up into their own understanding of existence and not the world. So I did not come as a thief. I came as a knowledge bearer. I came as a promise. And this is the book that I created for my people, not just African Americans, but because humanity has segregated us. We walk around in cliques and occults and we don't realize this. All of my people is that gene. Every last one of my people, every last one of God's people is that gene. It's this right here. See these little trillions and trillions and trillions of existences? This is you. And this is what's taking place inside of you, these red blood cells. They're recreating an image that's not and no longer perfect. And how they're traveling. This is how life is traveling right now through all of our existences. It's creating a new synapse. It's creating a new memory. This is what this one represents right here. The DNA. This is what this one is representing. We do not want to create DNA. We want to come out of the DNA. That's the valley of the shadow of darkness. We want to come out of the DNA. This is what is the bondage. The bondage is the DNA. As long as we are bondage in the DNA, as long as we're operating as the mortal kingdom, we are bondaged. You cannot break a bondage. The only thing that can break bondage is coming back up into the immortal kingdom. Once you operate in the immortal kingdom, then the immortal kingdom is like, now it's coming back up into this kingdom right here. You're here when you start off. Then you go up into this kingdom. No, this kingdom to this kingdom to this kingdom. This is when you overflowing. You the wellspring right here. You see it. It's showing you how all the blood, the veins, everything is running through itself as the wellspring, as the flow of life. So we started here. This is where Adam and Eve started. When they failed, they came into here, the DNA. And then this is what they're operating in now as the valley of the shadow of darkness. It's like the what's flowing through their wellspring now is darkness. It's death. This is why we die. We die because we are operating in the DNA and not in the gene anymore. The gene is the truth that will set us free. So I wrote workbooks. I wrote a whole bunch of workbooks to understanding this. And I also wrote a workbook called Unlocking the Root Foundation of Every Business. This one right here helps every owner, every CEO, anyone who has a business. It helps you understand no matter what industry you are in. It helps us unlock our root nature. So when we are operating outside in the world, we are creating more DNA. Okay, so when we're operating in the world, we are creating more they're called rabbit holes. We're creating more DNAs. We're creating more bondages. Okay, and what movie it brought me to, and I own no rights to this movie, is Alice in Wonderland. That's how we're living right now. We're living in Alice in Wonderland. We're having to go through all these little journeys of the witches and the warlocks and it's like, but man can't see this. He can't see that he's fighting all these battles. The battle is not ours, beloveds. And we are literally creating right now in Alice in Wonderland, and we don't even understand it. Inside of this, when you see these little blood vessels in these veins, this is how life is taking us. It's taking us in all these directions. If you can see that, you see how we're flowing in all these directions, but none of the directions that we are flowing in have anything to do with our journey back into existence, with the gene's journey back into the fabric of its own makeup, which is the truth that Jesus said would set us all free. So I wrote this book, or this workbook, for businesses because we want to unlock the root. We need to understand that as we create outwardly, we are forming more DNA. We want to come out of the DNA. The DNA bondages us, beloveds. As long as we operate as the DNA, and I'm helping you explain this. I'm breaking it down in this book to help you understand the biochemistry and all the things, and epigenetics. I'm helping you understand the things in which have gotten us here, which have created this internal matrix that we are now living in. We're living in a matrix where we're trapped by these red blood cells. These red blood cells rule us. You know, like the red queen inside of Alice in Wonderland. You see how she didn't want, she was guarding us. She didn't want nobody, Alice in Wonderland, she didn't want her to come out of that matrix. She didn't want her to come out of that land. She wanted to imprison her. Well, that is what is happening inside of our body right now. Understanding the internal matrix of earth. As in heaven, so on earth. We are now in earth. And we got to understand the matrix of it. But we're understanding the external matrix. That's why we're working. That's why we build all of our understandings of knowledges in books instead of coming and seeking it inside of our own memory. So I'm helping you understand this is what health is. Health is unlocking your root nature, unlocking your truth, walking out of the mortal kingdom, coming into the immortal kingdom. And that is where the beginning of your journey. This is where the beginning of your journey will start. And I wrote this book again for businesses. So all businesses use the one foundation. Every business uses the one foundation to create its image and its likeness. And that is that gene. Okay? You and I. There is no business that can run and operate without the gene, which is the mind. No business. Even if they use an artificial intelligence, that mind is still the intelligence. Even artificial intelligence needs our intelligence. And this is the most beautifulest thing about truth. Even artificial intelligence needs intelligence. So it is telling you right there, you are still smarter than AI, because AI needs a living existence in order to be a artificial intelligence. Remember, who creates the AI? Do you think the AI creates itself? No, it needs a vehicle. Then it needs the mind of that vehicle, and then it needs the intelligence of that vehicle. So it needs the Trinity. So the Trinity is the master. The Trinity is the creator. So we need to understand health and immunity. And this is a book that I created for businesses to get them to understand how to take their business to another evolution, not another level, to another evolution, where we're thinking about business on a level of not making us more DNA, but making the business the DNA. We're transferring our souls back into us, and now we're putting them into something that is not going to bondage us. So I want to help businesses to understand how to take us out of the equation. We're not the equation. We should not be running businesses. We should not be running anything. Why? Because we are the intelligence. Why are we doing anything? And we are the creator of all of these creations. But these creations are slaving us. So I help business owners get out of this mentality. I help them unlocking the root. I'm helping you go back to the root understanding of why are you doing this? Why are we doing this? What is living inside of us? Listen, look at this. This is the book I'm showing you. This is what's living inside of us, bondaging us. It says, because these spiritual forces of evil enter into us, the red blood cell. This is what is controlling us, beloveds. This is what has us bondaged. Because our white blood cell is now is imprisoned. But it's imprisoned by us. All operating under what? All people operating as what? The DNA. Everybody operating under the authority of DNA is a weapon formed against all of existence. And I also wrote this one, and it's saying, that's the name of my business, it's saying Breath Global Life Coaching 101, The Change. I help you make the change. I help you make the transition out of the mortal kingdom into the immortal kingdom, where you can see your journey. See, we have to see the journey. We cannot just understand something and not see the journey. Because you have to see that all of life, if you see the little veins, this is the journey. We're all taking a journey through this whole system. Right now, this is the internal earth. We're all in this journey. How I keep telling you, everybody think life is taking place in the world, but it's not. It's never going to do that. It's never done that. And that many people have no eyes to see this is scary. You have a whole world. Remember, it says, what does a man profit if he gains the whole world and he doesn't even know everything is taking place inside of his soul? So this is where I take you back. I take you back into the soul, into your own knowledge, into your own memory, into your own understanding. And I help you walk. You coming from the bottom and you going all the way back up to the top into your existence, to the head. And once you get there, you're just like Jesus. You're just like the priest. You're just like the guru. You're just like the one who, like the shaman. You become the shaman. What is a shaman? A shaman is someone who can go inside of itself and let its own spirit direct its ways. Like, to get this knowledge, I just sit. And guess what happens? It just happens. I'm not thinking, oh, today I'm going to write a book. Oh, today. When I wrote this book, beloveds, I sat down and the book wrote itself. Got another book that's done. I just have to get it edited and get all that stuff done. But this is my third book. When I got ready to do these things, it was God saying, when the teacher is ready. When I was in my student phase, my spirit was my teacher. My teacher led me. This is how my teacher was getting me to understand. This is how my shamanic spirit. The shaman is the spirit. When my spirit knew I was ready to stop being a student and now become a teacher of life, it started to get me to proving myself worthy. It started to make me prove myself worthy. Are you ready? When I sat down, these things just came naturally. Before I can get to my next level, I had to prove myself worthy to the spirit. I had to prove myself worthy to the intelligence, to my Holy Spirit. Am I holy enough to take this intelligence and take it outwardly without killing, stealing, and destroying in any form of the living kingdom? So before I can move outwardly, see, everybody's trying to come back in. I've been in. I'm the internal being. So before I can go outwardly, I had to prove myself worthy inside of my spirit. I had to learn the understanding of all of these things without being a biologist, without being a scientist. Because if you understand, how do you think we get the knowledge that are in the books? This is why we have to understand that the mind, and anybody operating in the ego mind is being tricked. It's being tricked. It is literally being manipulated by the spiritual force of evil. Because in order for me to write this book, and in order for any book to be written, beloveds, it had to come through the mind. It had to come through a person. This is how we get the evolution. It comes through a person. And the saddest part is people of the world, they steal it. They literally steal the evolution of the gene, which means that if you steal it, it's just like it said, the world is darkness. So if you steal something, it's just like the breath. Everybody is being stole from. The gene is now being stole from. So whatever we do inside of this kingdom, and everybody's in the world in the darkness. This is what Ephesians 6:12 is all about. Ephesians 6:12 is about the world is nothing but it's an outwardly appearance. Everybody in the world, they have no understanding. They have no understanding that everything is taking place right now. How you think, how you feel, and how you believe is taking place inside of all these veins. This is how life is taking place. But you're seeing it as though it's taking place outwardly. So you don't understand that Number one, your immunity is not protected. You have no health outwardly because everything is taking place inside of you. And this is how the mind will trick you when it's operating inside of this blood cell. It will trick you. When you are operating inside of this red blood cell, you are not under the directive of intelligence. You are not under the directive of the Holy Spirit. You are not the heavenly realm. You have to be the heavenly realm in order to command those things to be in which they are and they must be. Why? Because you are internal. You are in the kingdom of heaven within, where you have eyes to see through the Holy Spirit and not eyes to see through the man, through the flesh. Life cannot be produced in the flesh. How do you know this? Remember, our last gestation was the body forming. That was the last gestation. So we cannot create in the body. And our second gestation was the mind. 3 months in each one. That's the 9-month period. 3, 3, 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. The first 3 months was the spirit. The next 3 months was the mind, the immortal kingdom. The next 3 months was the mortal kingdom. We were learning how to understand our internal makeup, who we are, who I am. This is when we were in this information right here. We were learning how to understand the formation, the trillions and trillions and trillions of existences that we are in the genetic makeup of. Every last one of these little dots are codes. In your Father's house, there are many, many mansions. You see all these and you see them. They also are outside of you as well, communing with you. This is just like the breath. So every day we are, beloveds, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. And that we sacrifice. It says, what does a man profit if he gains the whole world and he sacrifices his soul? Like you're sacrificing the existence to live as this beautiful, beautiful image and likeness of the Holy Spirit, to live as this, a valley of the shadow of death, bondage, trapped, having no wellspring, having no flow of life. Everything you do is just trapped. You get to this part of your understanding and you got to work through all the pain and the trauma. You get to this part of your understanding. You got to work through the pain and the trauma. You get to this understanding as you're traveling. You're in like right now we're trapped inside of Alice in Wonderland. We're in this rabbit hole, and everywhere we take our mind, it has to go through that formation. This is what the DNA is. This is what the DNA is. It's like, you see these little dots. These are memories, and we have to go through all these little memories. And some people, they don't make it out of those memories. They don't make it out of those memories, beloveds. If you notice in Alice in Wonderland, it was like, off with her head. You're going through these little doors inside of you. And in the DNA, we're igniting our biochemistry. We're igniting the biochemistry. When we messing with that biochemistry, this is what we messing with. See this? We messing with our blood cells. When we in our biochemistry, this should be bypassed. In every body of existence, this should be bypassed. We should never be having to operate in this part of our existence. Ever. Never. There's no health when we're operating in this part of our existence. This is the part that we should be operating in. At every present moment, we should be in this one, in the existence of these two. This one will be automatic. Health will be automatic. The cells will be automatically taking care of themselves. The flow of it says, guard your heart through the well springs of life flow. The flow of our biochemistry would just be, tell them I am. You ain't got to worry about health. You ain't got to worry about business. You ain't got to worry about the world. You ain't got to worry about anything external. I got you, baby. I got you. Unlocking the root. Unlocking the root. Unlocking the root to our foundation. Unlocking the root to our understanding. Unlocking the root foundation of our business. Of every business. Inside of this kingdom, your business is that intelligence. It's that spirit. Unlocking the root to every business. You carry the solution. You carry the solution. The solution is already in your hands. It's not in your employees' hands. You are the solution to every problem, to every situation, to every circumstance. And that is what the internal life does. That is what the internal part of you does. It becomes what we would call a shaman, a guru, a seer, a knower, a priest. Inside of this kingdom in the blood is called a priest. It means it's called the gene. It's the evolution. Once you are one in that evolution, you control the ethers. You control this. You see these little dots outside of this body? You control this. Once you control this in you, it's all like when I tell you when I'm getting, you'll hear me say, thank you, Spirit. When Spirit is on point, when it's like, when I'm on point with Spirit, when I'm connecting to Spirit, you'll hear me you'll feel me because I feel Spirit saying, yes, babe. I feel it talking to me. You'll feel your Spirit. Know thyself and you will know me. Spirit will be confirming to you, you're right on point with me. You're equally yoked to me now. You understand me now. You'll feel it in your innermost kingdom. And then see these little dots out there? This is where you say, I can command those things to be in which they are. Then you're able to command this outer world. First, you got to get this one right. I can't be commanding the outer world and what's living inside of me. And I'm living in these red blood cells. That's where you see Ephesians 6:12 happening. This is what it means in Ephesians 6:12. Number one, anybody operating in the world don't know that they're operating in red blood cells. Inside of this kingdom, because you don't realize that all of life is taking place in this kingdom, you have to understand inside of this kingdom, you're not living in the world. Nobody's living in the world. So what you're doing is you're bringing darkness into these cells. And these cells are your mind. So once you bring darkness into this mind, these cells, then the cells become spiritual forces of evil inside of you. And the word became flesh and made his dwelling. See, we got to understand we are living inside of a internal matrix called earth right now. We're not living in heaven anymore. We're living in earth. We got to come out of earth and come back into existence. How we do it is we go from here. No, we come from here. We go back into here. And then we end up being this right here. We got to go back in reverse now. We got to reverse. We're not right now. You got everybody reverse psychology in our own existence. You got everybody taking us out of our own existence. This is why it says, though I may walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. What am I going to fear? This is who I am. Why am I fearing this blood cell? And I command those things to be in which they are. You have to be under the authority of existence. Not the red blood cells, which is darkness, which is beliefs, which is doctrine, which is outwardly. You can't govern life outwardly. You got a whole world doing this right now. And what do you see? Warfare, death, sickness, hate, crime, injustice, fear, punishment, poverty. The very things that this right here is not made in the image of. Your spirit is not made in the image of any of those things. Why? Because your spirit controls this and is the flow of this whole kingdom. You see that? That's the body. So this should be directing our ways. The spirit. Telling the mind, see this is the minds. Telling the minds how to direct the body's way. You see that? We should not be operating in a world when we have a whole infinite, like let me tell you, a whole infinite existence inside of us just waiting for us to accept its own knowledge. My people perish because they rejected to live in me, and they wanted to be conformed to a world that, what has that world done to us, beloved? I mean, choose on this day who you're going to serve. Choose on this day who you are going to serve. Because when you don't realize that when you operating in the DNA, see this is where you want to be operating. You want to come and rise back up out of this. You don't want to be operating in this, in that gene. You want to be operating as the creator of the gene. I command those things to be, and they must be. Once you operating in this gene, see, you're tied in. It's like it's a bondage right here. There's no flow. You see how it's twisted? We don't ever want to operate in a wellspring. It's like the blood. We don't want to have our blood coagulated, mucosa. We don't want our flow of life to be stagnated. We don't want our flow. We don't ever want anything that we understand as our living existence, which is just a wellspring. It's like energy. We know that our blood is energy. All you have to do is just look at the veins. Look at that. We know that our flow of life it's a flow. We can see this inside of our own existence. And then when you look at the energy, we know that energy it gives existence to the car. The vehicle is just like in us. Without the battery, the motor, which is the mind, cannot operate. And then the vehicle, which is the body, cannot move. We are just like a car. We are the battery. We are the existence. We are the one that gives the memory in the car, the authority to say, oh, the radio can turn on. Oh, you can see the mileage on the odometer or whatever. Oh, I can turn on the heat. I can turn on the air. This is us. But we're operating as the vehicle. We're operating as the shell. And we already know the shell is just, it's nothing. It just look good. It just look good, but it don't do shit. I'm just telling you, it don't do nothing for our existence. It's the battery. It's the spirit. It's the energy. It's the heavenly realm. And this is the most beautifulest thing about health and immunity. When you think about immunity, you think about this. This is immunity. See, this is when we operate in immunity. This automatically creates this into the white blood cells. Health. And then when it's in this realm, in the immortal realm will take the mortal realm, which is all of this, and it will automatically correct it. Automatically correct it. Automatic. This is why I can't cure, I can't treat, and I can't diagnose. Sweethearts, beloveds, right now, this will do all of that for you. You operate in this kingdom right here, it's on like popcorn. Pop, pop, pop. You see all these, you see all those magnificence? And they don't just, they're wellspring, they flow. They once they in you, they going everywhere. See who I am? I'm existence. So just my presence here right now is evolving the existence in everyone open to receive it. Now, I can't help you if you reject me. See, it's only life who can, it's like evil begets evil, existence begets existence. So if you reject me, like in Hosea 4, the soul was saying, oh, well, y'all rejected me. Y'all rejected to live in my good old immunity. You rejected to live as this, and you wanted to live as the red blood cell. And now you living in this part of the kingdom with no flow of life, with no intelligence, with no knowledge. You just living to die. So you have to accept. You have to, like, you can reject to live inside of your own truth. How many people right now in the world is literally saying, fuck off life, fuck off existence. Now we want to live through sickness, sin, and death. We want to have our mind taught. This is what the false prophets, the idols, and the statues are. Many people get offended by this, but you existence. Why you want to be taught by a false prophet? Why you want to be taught by somebody who's teaching you in the mortal kingdom, but you're born the eternal kingdom? Why? I mean, it's like, is that not ignorance? I mean, that's insanity. Do you know how many times I was called crazy growing up, and I'm an eternal being? I'm innate knowledge. I'm walking around here, the very fabric of existence, in my own image and in my own likeness, where I can say, tell them I am, sent me. But because the world operates as a red blood cell, and they don't want to admit that they heavenly, people like myself, we labeled. We're bondage. It's like they hurt us, but the whole world is the hurting. The whole world is the struggle. The whole world is the bondagers. It's the enslavers. It's the casters. It's doing what, I mean, the whole world is the evil. And then when somebody like myself matures, because it's just time for the evolution of the gene and not the evolution of the world, you have the people of the world trying to do everything they can to stop it. And this is why you had the story of Lot. You had the story of Lot. The story of Lot is just showing us this is how we operate as a humanity. We operate this way. When evolution, when it's time for the soul to evolve, God will mature the gene that was already predestined for that time, beloveds. And that gene will awaken to its maturity, to its knowledge, to this right here. And once it awakens to this right here, it's for the evolution of this. It's for the evolution of the soul, the mind. Because this part right here is no longer, it can no longer survive inside of this gene. It can no longer survive inside of this gene. This gene is now obsolete. It has to be either you have to come back down to this, or this has to be destroyed. This is like the whole story of Lot. We forget that all of life is taking place inside of us. What does a man profit? You creating a whole world, but you have not understood that even the world is created inside of your soul. So humans are literally obsolete, and your time is up. I don't know how else to tell you. The evolution of this right here, it has to evolve itself. It can no longer survive inside of this. It's no more room for evolution. It's no more room for growth. It's nothing else that this can do for this. It's obsolete. It's depleted itself. It's darkened. It's just death. Everything that it creates, it has no more evolution. It has no more white blood cells. You have to remember that even our breath is an ecosystem. Everything is an ecosystem. And that is an intelligence. And when that intelligence, the intelligence knows when this is no more. It knows it'll start warning us by national disasters, by plagues, by pestilence. It will start warning us. When this right here is self-destructing, when we have to come out of this, when we have to come out of this and come back down to this. This is where it says, I'm only going to come and choose my children. These is God's children. Anybody operating in this, in the Holy Spirit, this is God's children. If you operating in these two kingdoms, the immortal and the mortal kingdom, you're not going to be chosen. Why? This is the valley of the shadow of death. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. This is the fall of Babylon. Because we continue to not accept our knowledge, so we don't have no understanding that all of life is taking place inside of us. That's what ignorance is. Ignorance is understanding, hey, you already health, and your immunity is existence. And when you're not operating in this immunity, when you're not operating here, this becomes the valley of the shadow of death, and this is what kills you. See all that? Your blood. Your internal matrix kills you. Earth. Because you're not operating in heaven. You're operating in earth. As in heaven on earth. If you're operating in earth, but you're the heaven, you're the heavenly realm, you can't do anything. Because it's only heaven that can handle earth. Heaven. This is heaven. So we need to understand that we can no longer operate inside of the DNA, beloveds. It is just something that it's obsolete for the evolution of the gene. The gene it's time for self-destruction. It's time for Lot, the story of Lot, the Sodom and Gomorrah. And I hate that we have to understand it under those terms. It's just, if you want to just understand it in plain biology, just truth, you will understand that in order for this right here to exist, we got to come out of these two kingdoms. We cannot operate in the mortal and the immortal and the mortal kingdom, because these two kingdoms are they're end time prophecies. And this is what's happening. The whole soul, the soul, which is the DNA, is now reading its own Akashic record. It's reading its own transgressions, its own sins. This is why it says, I am going to revisit you in your inequities. For those who love me, this is where you will automatically come back to. For those who hated me, you are your own end time prophecy. Why? Because you are you are death. You created that. You created to hate living as your own existence. You chose to not live as your own existence. You chose to be here and here. When you could have been just here loving who you are. Tell him, I am Sydney. This is where Moses and Jesus and all of the prophets existed. They existed internally. But man exists in these two. He refuses his knowledge. He rejects his own existence. And not only is he doing that to himself, he's now doing it to everyone that he teaches, that he gives this understanding to, that he leads in this world. You cannot lead a living kingdom in these worlds. These worlds are not living. They live only because this one exists. Existence. So as we evolve, as the soul evolves, as this part evolves, because it's intelligence. See these little dots right here? These little dots, these dots know how to read all of this. It knows when this right here is no longer capable of sustaining the human existence. It knows when this is no longer capable of sustaining this right here, human existence. And it'll be extinct, like the dinosaurs became extinct. This is how every evolution that came before us, every living kingdom that came before us, they became extinct because they didn't live by this. They lived by this. And this is chemical. It's biochemical, which means it's in fight and flight modes. There's no flow of life. You're in toxic shock living in this kingdom. This is all toxic shock. And this right here is carnal. It's evil. It's wicked. The gene becomes darkness. This is all Ephesians 6:12 is talking about. Ephesians 6:12 is talking about what's going on inside of this kingdom. This is what represents the world. The mind. The mind represents the world. This gene represents the world. But we should not be operating in the world. We should be operating in existence. The creator of these two worlds. But we don't do that. We don't. Humans have said, no, I'm God. I'm going to take over the mind, which is, I'm going to rule life with the world. And then this right here is going to say, no, you're going to be in spiritual warfare until your end time prophecy. I'm going to number your days. How am I going to number your days? That red blood cell. The DNA. And how am I going to do this? I'm going to see your flow of life inside of here. I'm going to stagnate you. I'm never going to let you be a wellspring. I'm never going to produce life inside of this makeup. And that's why we live as the DNA instead as the Holy Spirit. We live as this. And this now governs this. These are our transgressions. These are our sins. These are our inequities. The DNA is the memory cell of how we evolved this right here. Existence. How do we evolve existence? You living inside of existence itself. And you created a red blood cell, which is death. You could have created heaven because you are heaven. But instead you said, no. I'm God. Oh yeah. I'm the prophet. Oh yeah. But this right here don't want you to be God. It wants you to say, stand still and let me be all of this for you. Stand still and let me be all of this for you. I will be your transformed and your renewed mind. I will be your wellspring. Do you just standing still and knowing that I am your God? Standing still and knowing that I am your God. But we didn't choose that. Humans chose to live as human nature. They chose to live as DNA. The valley of the shadow of death. They chose to create in nothing but sickness, sin, and death. Inside of this kingdom, right here, once you give this authority over to anything, because this is a biochemical, it's chemical. Once you give this over to anything that's not heavenly, it automatically destroys this. Automatically. Our immunity is the Holy Spirit, and our health is standing still and staying under the directive of that kingdom. Regardless if the devil, whatever y'all call, see in this one, which is the DNA, you got programs of, it's just like Alice in Wonderland. You see all those stories in Alice in Wonderland. Did you see what Alice had to go through to get out of that kingdom? That's what you're going through inside of the matrix of Earth. You're going through all these rabbit holes. But you already this. You already this. Why you want to go through the Red Queen and go through all these little worlds and dimensions and realities? And this one would never create any of that for you. This one would just create life, heaven on earth. Where everything you living in is immunity. Everything that exists in you is living. And everything that you create is immunity. It means that it's going to feed you. It's going to take care of you. It's not going to destroy you. See, this is what's being destroyed because we are living inside of this kingdom. We're not living in the world. We are living inside of this kingdom. So as I woke up this morning and I just came back into Thanksgiving, this morning it was all about Thanksgiving and the evolution of existence, the evolution of who I am, and just acknowledging who I am, not being afraid to say, this is who I am. Not being afraid to step out and tell everybody, no, no, no. In order for me to live, you all who living in these kingdoms, you're going to have to get your shit right. Now, I'm not just going to force you to do that. I invented evolution for us all to see with our own eyes, to understand. See, I didn't just write this book for no reason. God didn't give me the formation of this book, the solution to what I'm saying. God gave me the solution so that I can live inside of my own eternity without this destroying me every day, where I can't live in peace, where I can't live in harmony, where I can't live safe from my own people. God didn't just give me the solution. He made me the solution. He evolved my gene. He evolved my mind high enough so that I can see why. I didn't just come to y'all and say, like, you gonna learn this or you ain't gonna get paid. You gonna learn this or you gonna die. Or you gonna be poverty. Or you gonna be this. Or we not gonna support you. I didn't say any of those things. God said, let me give you a solution, my sweetheart. Let me give you the solution. Because I know you desire my existence. I know you desire my life. I know you desire to live in my kingdom. I know you desire to be healthy. I know you desire to be my immunity. So God said, let me give you the solution. Let me put the solution in your hands. So if no one has told you this on this day or any other day, beloveds, this message is really for all those who are ready to walk out of the valley of the shadow of death, to walk out of the mortal kingdom, to walk back into the immortal kingdom, to come back home. Because this evolution that we are going to be walking into, beloveds, this kingdom is the first one to go. We see the breakdown of this happening right now. This is going to be the end time prophecy, beloveds. It's no longer being able to live inside of this. We're going to have to come back to this, which means that these all will be one. I and my Father are one. The new earth is eternal. So if nobody has told you guys this on this day or any other day, beloveds, this message is geared to the professionals. It is time for us to step up our evolution, not our game. If you want to play a game against your evolution, and your evolution is innate, and you can only play the games in the world, and when you're playing games in that world, your internal kingdom now becomes the pawn. So now it's time for us to become the intelligence and become the solution, and the problem corrects itself. So if no one has told you on this day or any other day, beloveds, love and immunity. Have an amazing weekend. You do deserve it. God bless us all.